Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Europa Universalis 4 with me, Alpha Pi Omega, Meiou Taxes 3.0 and Novgorod. So first of all, apologies for a bit of a gap between the episodes. I actually do not pre-record this, and turns out I had a really busy weekend. Anyway, let's get back to the game. I lost my train of thought there for a second. So, in the last episode, we have won a war against Muscovy. It was a fairly brutal war, considering we just started. There was a lot of casualties, a lot of pillaging, and we have won by gaining 2 provinces from Muscovy and a tad of gold. However, they have managed to plunder our eastern provinces, and if this showed us anything, it showed us that if we want the Republic to hold, we will need to be a bit more aggressive. Now, our ruler is calm and indulgent, so he's not going to be that fazed by this, but we need to make plans for expansion so that we can stand the test of time and defeat Muscovy in a war that's going to come next. Now, the problem here is that Muscovy has it kinda under its control with many of the nations. I identified 2 targets that will be priority for the expansion of the Republic. It's going to be Smolensk and it's going to be Tver. Tver, however, is allied with Lithuania, and that is a big problem. It's also allied with Nizhny Novgorod, but that's not a big issue. Smolensk, however, is allied with Belozero and with Vorotinsk. Vorotinsk is a 1-province minor here, and Belozero is a 2-province minor here. So I wouldn't mind getting Belozero, and I wouldn't mind getting Zef. I believe that's how it's pronounced, Ref or Zef. That would allow us to connect our provinces. We could attack them very soon, but first we'll need to actually lay a claim to this province so that we have access. The province itself is fairly poor. All of these are actually with the exception of the capital of Smolensk, so unless we completely annex them, it's going to be a bit of an issue. I'm gonna start by... yeah, we have an alliance with you. That's a bit of a problem. I'm going to start by building a spy network here in hopes that we can lay a claim to this province and attack them. In the meantime, we are going to sort of refocus on rebuilding the army. We lost quite a lot of army professionalism. We have quite a lot of units over the limit. We have a bit of war exhaustion, but nothing bad. Nothing bad, really. So, let's disband some of these units. And we are going to keep drilling you. I'm gonna drop the... Okay, we mothballed all of the forts, that's good. And we're drilling you, that's also good. I'm gonna drop the manpower maintenance. Okay, we got that. But another thing that I'm gonna do after this is we are going to increase the expenditures on military. So let's go with delegate tax code, and we're gonna increase the military power. Right now we're getting 98 people each month, and our force summit, I don't actually know if the force summit will go up as well. We'll see. I'm going to increase the military power investment by 10 because we feel threatened and we need to face our enemies. So that's that. As far as technologies go, we are doing good. We want the warships as soon as possible so that we can get the courier and deal with the trade. Speaking of trade, now I'd like to clear up some things that you guys mentioned in the comments and that I would like to address. So, thank you for the person who pointed out the differences about the trade. Now, the way I understand it, and I might be incorrect about this, there are 2 levels of trade now. You have the basic trade that still functions as it did. You can, gain money from trade. You can, transfer trade upstream, collect it, and stuff like that works still the same. But what he mentioned, and what is really important, is that when you look at our provinces and at the trade we have there, I need to check where that was. Here. We get the trade and expanded, we get the trade and goods from the provinces that we can trade with, and we can trade with the provinces where we have a merchant. So for that, for us, that means that right now our provinces can trade with the Baltic Sea, Rusland, Ruthenia, and Central Steppe. They can't trade with any of the other provinces, even though, for example, I noticed that we're missing some consumer goods in our capital, I believe. Yeah, we're short on consumer goods. We're only getting 54%. But we can't really do much with that unless we would get more merchants and trade with other places. So that's how I understand it. You can, there are different things that you can do. If you trade with, for example, I don't know, if I wanted to trade, for example, with Iberia, I would need to put a merchant in Iberia. Then you can see how the trade flows. We'd probably need it here in the Northwest Atlantic. Then with Hansa, and then from Hansa the trade would flow probably through Dniester and Vistula, Lithuania to Rusland and to Baltic Sea. So this will take a bit more time to examine how exactly it works, but you basically expand your influence and the possibility to trade goods as you place the merchants around and create little paths. So if we like to have some exotic goods like, I don't know, not spices, but coffee beans and stuff like that, we need to trade across the Atlantic. If we wanted tea and, spices, we need to create a trade route to India. So it's going to be, we'll need to see how that works as we go with that. Second thing that I wanted to mention is that it has been pointed out to me that the influence here, and I was mistaken about that, the influence here does not influence the actual estate's power, but it influences their power at the court. So we are currently increasing the aristocratic influence, and I think the spiritualist influence, and the bureaucratic influence. So for us, the most important are, of course, the bureaucrats, but yeah, we need to deal with that a bit more. I don't think we can hire... Yeah, all of these are aristocrats. We have a bureaucrat here, and I might consider switching this to metropolitan, but we have only a +1 there, and we need the +2. So yeah, that's another thing. Third of all, I wanted to say that I haven't really shown you much of the interactions with the various estates. That's because I wanted to check it myself first, and now I'd like to mention a couple of things. The one that I feel really threatened about are not the burghers, where we have only a few privileges, and not the clans, where we have none, and interestingly, not the clergy, where they have no privileges, but of course the nobles, who have a massive amount of privileges that are actually incredibly powerful in our nation. And they have a number of things going here, but as you can see, they added these little tooltips that show you how high you are at the certain privilege. I'd say privilege ladder. So for example, they have major exception of dues, so now they have only low obligation to us, and if we revoke this, they will have moderate obligations. They have low obligations in the service commutation, and they have partial monopoly. Here they have very low privilege, only a partial monopoly, and if we revoke it, it's gonna go to signori. I don't know what that means. They have full monopoly on the game, so we can revoke that to partial monopoly. Same with forester monopoly. And they have noble courts. So they have a lot of things going on here. Now, even though that all of these irk me, and eventually we need to get rid of all of them. We can't really do it as easily as we could in the Meiou 2.5, because now you're not getting a stability hit, you're actually losing the relation and their loyalty. So for example, if we revoke their exemption of dues, we would lose 40 noble loyalty and 35 relations between aristocrats and the state, and gain corruption and lose 25 administrative and diplomatic power and 50 military. So that's actually a really huge strike. And I don't think we need to do that. The only thing that from the roleplay standpoint irks me here is the processing monopoly. They have partial monopoly on processing, but I don't think that really goes well with the Merchant Republic. I don't think they should have any privileges. So in the processing kind of thing. So if we remove this, they will get an extra gravity, and they will have less dues from the peasantry to the nobles. So that's actually pretty good. The peasantry will be a bit richer. We lose quite a lot of power and 35 noble loyalty, which is a drastic hit. But our nation gets a bit more welfare. Welfare, generally speaking, without going into much detail, is how well the population is perceiving their current situation. So you can see in our capital we have 3.45 welfare, a bit of diversion, a bit of hierarchy. When we look at places like Pinega, I think it should be lower there. Yeah, the welfare there is minus 4.49. And this influences how the people like to live in the province, and improving welfare will actually make them a bit more happier and a bit more determined to stay where they are. So this is going to help. So let's revoke the processing monopoly. And as you can see that, yeah, they increased the level for, or they increased the threshold for, what's it called? Disloyal estate. So we need to do something with that, and we're going to support the nobility. And we need to take something here. Oh, I wanted to hold a grand celebration, but we couldn't do that right now because we don't have enough money. Okay. It's a bit more expensive than I thought it would be. So... I think that we might want to promote lesser nobility. This will increase the relation between us and the state, and will give aristocrats more power. But they gain 20 loyalty. What about strategic marriage? How would that affect us? Extra diplomatic reputation, we get a chance of new heir. Use a bit of diplo power. 15 relation between aristocrats and the state, and they gain a bit more power. Okay, let's do the strategic marriage thing. That's gonna be a bit less hurtful to our overall situation. Okay, now, as I mentioned, this will change a bit of the power in the nation. I don't know when the welfare recalculates. So right now it seems like it is still the same. So we'll check it a bit later to see how it affected our provinces. We also increased the investment into our military, so that might change quite a lot of things regarding that. We need a stronger military if we are to stand up to Muscovy. So, can we get any alliances? Smolensk would accept our alliance. Well, that's actually not what I'm going for here. So let's check how the collection of taxes will go this year, if it's gonna change our situation. I don't think we can core the other province. Yeah, Borovsk can be cored because we don't have any neighboring core province. Is that it? Yeah, it's not adjacent to any core province. Okay, so the collection should come at any moment. And we'll see how it's gonna go. Yes, burden of taxation. Okay, so we collected 22, or, we invested 22 military power, 14 to volunteers, 6.66 to levies, and 1.25 to tribal hosts. So how did that affect our manpower gain? Okay, we're getting 115 manpower each month, so that's a decent increase, though it just dropped a bit. And it also increased our land for summit. Okay, that's good. So let's get another infantry unit here, and we're gonna add to the fray. Can we repay? Yes, we can repay the one that we had. So now we are, generally speaking, okay. We're finishing the 2 castles. We're building one in Izhora and one in Voloklamsky. I'd like to build another one in Borovsk, but that's going to be a huge investment. By the way, just so you have a bit of a frame of reference, one thing that I investigated is that we need to work on our autonomy, and the way to do that is, of course, increase communication efficiency. Our 2 most valuable provinces is Zavolozhye and Veliki Novgorod. Veliki Novgorod has an autonomy of 21%, while Zavolozhye has 100, even though it's the 2nd most populous province. So logically, you'd like to connect them. We have an infrastructure, not the irrigation, the pathing of level 3 in Veliki Novgorod. We have level 1 in Volkov. We have level 1 in Zavolozhye, but we have nothing here in Obonezhny, so that's the place where we need to increase it. However, increasing the pathing infrastructure in this province costs 650 gold, so it's a bit far from what we can do right now. So the expansion to south, connecting Ref to these provinces down here, might actually be a bit more beneficial, because it's gonna make the connection much easier here. And this province, as it's adjacent to our capital, should have a decent autonomy. I think even these 2 could actually connect well. I don't know why the autonomy here is so poor, but I think it's mostly nightmare communication. It's actually not possible at all to speak with them. So unless we get a land access, these 3 provinces are dead to us. Okay, good to know. Well, apart from our relations being as good as they can with Ryazan, or I guess it's Ryazan, depending on how you want to pronounce it, and apart from that, and apart from continuously upgrading our spy network in Smolensk, we can now get the new technology. Sorry, I'm thinking about 3 things I want to tell you at once. So let's get the warships. That will increase our global trade power by 20% for the next 5 years, which is very good. As shipbuilding developed, distinct types of ships emerged. Some hulls were faster, others could carry more cargo, while others were simply cheaper. Eventually, this led to specialized forms of ships such as warships. So this gives us the naval force modifier of 1 extra %, and naval morale is increased by 0.20. We got the Grayer available, and we can start building those. Now, that's another thing that's actually kind of interesting. I don't know if this is implemented yet, but in the minds of the developers of the mod, any investment that you do in the province, whether it is building an army, hiring mercenaries, or building ships, will take the money from your treasury and give it to the province. So for us, it would be probably the best if we, for example, wanted to develop St. Petersburg later on, to start investing in Izhora. But for all reasons, our biggest harborage province is the one in Zavoloshiye. So we're gonna build the ships here. I'm gonna start by the Krayer. We're also doing very good on the army professionalism again. We're at 21.46%. Sadly, no improvement in the skills of our leader, but I don't think that either of our potential enemies have any either, so that should be fine. Now that we have gained the ability to build Krayer, we're gonna finish up the trade ideas. We want the import and exports, barriers to trade, and rights to commerce. Merchant trade power, caravan trade power, trade steering, ship trade power, propagation, and global trade power. Didn't you guys give merchants before? Okay, I guess the amount of merchants is calculated differently right now. Stat merchant 4. Okay, that's a bit weird, but I'll take it. Other thing that I wanted to show you before we do another skip is the government. I realized that I haven't shown you that, and it also answers the question of when we're gonna get the next election. First of all, we got mandate plutocratic. We are crowned, even though we could be Republican. I don't know what the difference, maybe it triggers some kind of events. Extraordinary powers are dormant. We have elected assemblies. Terms of office are for life. That's the thing that I wanted to show you. So our knyaz is ruling till he dies. I'm kind of interested in seeing that, or, you know, kind of interesting to see that it doesn't hurt the Republican tradition. We could switch that to 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, 4 years, or even 1 year, but actually I have no roleplay reason to switch this unless we have a real reason. The nobility is by position. That's kind of interesting to see. Internal structure is regionalism. We have devolution, significant decentralization. I'd like to change that. We got permitted autonomies. We got local provincial leadership. We got regional military, and we have no special arrangements. So eventually what I'd like to maybe do is switch the stylings to Republican and maybe the terms of office down to say 5 years or maybe 7 years. But we'll see, there really is no reason to change that now, and, you know, why change what's working? Oh boy, the Empire of the Romans, or Rome as it's... oh, Empire of Rome, okay, as it's called now, is having a bad time and losing to a massive Ottoman invasion. Apart from that, there's another war between Karaman and Eretinids, okay. Wait, am I reading that correctly? Eretnids, okay, I knew I misread that. Eretnids. And other than that, I don't see much happening in Europe, except for the Novgorodian invasion that's currently going to start. I've raised my forts in Kakisami and Izhora in case someone wants to invade us in the north. I also raised a finished fort in Voloklamsky, and we are still finishing one last, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually I am mistaken. Okay, so that's all forts we have. Damn, that's not a lot. Well, we have one in Veliki Novgorod as well, but we need more. And we are going to invade Smolensk and claim Ref as ours. However, something has been changed. I claimed this province, and we can't really declare war with a conquest Casus. I guess it might be because we're a trade republic. Maybe that's forbidden for us. I don't know. We just don't have any Casus Belli here. Never mind though, we have claimed this province, that's all that's important to me. So the battle plan is as follows. Our main army that has been strengthened to 7,000 men will cross into Ref, destroy Smolenskian army, and conquer the province. Then it's gonna go back, defeat the army of Belozero, and conquer Belozero. And these are the two provinces that we would really like to get from it. Because I noticed that Belozero does have a pathing here, so it should theoretically improve our access to the Arctic tundra that we have over there. I'm not really that hopeful that it's gonna help, but it might. So if we can manage to get these two provinces, the Republic will be much stronger and much safer. Especially because the autonomy here is just dropping like a rock. We might even go as far as to taking Vyazma as well, but I don't want to overdo it. We already have an overextension penalty, and if anything has to be taken, I'd rather annex Belozero and take just Zef, because that would, make a bit more sense in the general outlook of things. We have our eyes on Tver as well, but that one's allied with Lithuania. So we'll have to see. Lithuania, unfortunately... Oh, wow! Lithuania would accept my alliance offer. Okay, so that's something that I'd like to do. So let's cancel this spy network creation. And we are going to offer alliance to Lithuania, because that's gonna make us way, way stronger. And also declare war on you. Yes, I know that's gonna give us a bit of a bad rap, but what can you do? So that's all for this episode, and I'll see you in the next one, where we conclude this war and hopefully strengthen the Republic of Novgorod. So join me then.